Civics education. It's a hot topic in the news today with the attack on the U.S. Capitol, the debate over critical race theory, and the tension over citizens' voting rights. Current polls show many Americans can't correctly answer 15 questions from the naturalization test or even identify the 3 branches of government. So you might ask, just how is civics being taught in our state? Well, starting in 2004, Colorado enacted laws to support civics education in the public, private, and charter schools. They wanted to make sure that every student passed a civics course to graduate. Then in 2021, the state passed an amended Senate bill, which the Colorado Education Association was part of, to strengthen civics education. They were going to review and revise the standards so all students have the necessary skills to become involved citizens. Our present civic standards in Colorado address this skill set and are designed to impart knowledge of our government and encourage participation in our civil society. These skills and standards are a really good beginning, and Colorado schools are recognized for mandating a civics class for graduation requirements. But somehow, from getting the 2 main standards, knowing the rights and responsibilities of citizenship, and understanding the structure and function of government, and putting these into practice, something happens. Different districts and even schools within a district have different methods for implementing the substandards, benchmarks, calendar dates, and assessments, even in Jeffco schools. For instance, the standards in Jeffco are implemented in progression from kindergarten to 9th grade in required classes with a 12th grade elective for AP Government. Jeffco starts each course based on the 3 grade level expectations. 1. Research and formulate positions on local, state, and national government issues to participate in a civil society. Number 2. Understand the purpose, role, and limitations of the structure and function of government. And number 3, evaluate the impact of the political institutions that link the people to the government. The teachers take these grade level expectations and they build on a big idea in each class. In 9th grade, students take a 2-part American government class. Part 1 is the philosophical foundation of government with grade level expectation number 1 and number 2. And part 2 of the course is titled Civic Engagement, Civics in Action, with grade level expectation number 3. The aim is to build on all the knowledge of civics presented to students throughout their school years to culminate in real-life activity, civics in action, where students take their knowledge out of the classroom and join other citizens in promoting our democracy. A good idea. However, the way this happens isn't always the same in every school. For example, the American government teachers at Stanley Lake started a political science fair, a science fair to encourage students to learn about a candidate or a ballot issue. Students wrote interview questions, talked to people in the community, did library research, and then presented their findings the night of the fair. League of Women Voters Jeffco provided how to vote classes before the fair and contributed a voter information table at the fair. The goal at Jeffco is for 9th grade students to have background information on civics from their classes in middle school so they can go out and really participate in our civil society. In 6th grade, students study U.S. government and its impact on society. 7th graders in middle school look at different types of government, from democracies to autocracies. Then in 8th grade, the big idea asked teachers to tie the events of the U.S. Civil War to the Constitution, the idea of states' rights, how important individual freedom is, and the rule of law. You might think that's a lot of critical thinking for middle school students, and you'd be right. But some schools are able to use it as a springboard to practice citizen involvement. A group of students at North Arvada Middle School decided to take the idea of citizen involvement all the way to the State House. They started a drive to have the legislature study and adopt a bill, the Plastic Pollution Reduction Act. When Governor Polis was ready to sign, he invited the student group to participate in the signing at the governor's mansion. For this group of students, they went from the classroom to the State House to a law for all of Colorado. This is how the standards are supposed to work, and teachers at every grade level are aware of how important this is. This idea that civics education is way more than book learning starts in the primary grades in Jeffco. In grades K through 2, teachers use the grade level expectation guideline to study ancient civilizations with the big idea to use the classroom as a microcosm of society. Students become aware of the issues of justice and fairness and how to act in a civil manner. Students in 4th grade study Colorado history, and there is not a specific standard for civics addressed in that class. But then in grades 3 and 5, the big idea is for students to take their learning outside the classroom into the larger school, local, and state community. The state of Colorado was included in the 2018 nationwide study of civics education conducted by Tufts University. Colorado placed on the second of a 4-tier scale, having civics as a graduation requirement, but not yet doing enough to encourage student involvement by using innovative teaching strategies. Furthermore, a study in June 2021 by the Fordham Institute had an even different measure of our success in meeting the standards. In this survey, the state of state standards, Colorado, unfortunately, was given a mediocre rating. States that received a superior rating have our same graduation requirement, but they also have innovative coursework and community partnerships to foster civics in action. It's interesting to note that this rating from Fordham in June 2021 coincided with the passage of Senate Bill 21-067. The bill seeking to review and revise our civic standards and develop working relationships with the community to promote civic involvement. Our Jeffco schools are working hard to implement the big idea in civic standards. But judging from the nation's current domestic crisis, we have a lot more work to do. March to May is the calendar for stressing civics in schools, and partnerships are being developed like Read Across America, where people volunteer to read civics-themed stories to elementary students. Partnerships may be a way for the League to get involved and further the goals of civics education in our district and in our state.